In Beholder 2, you briefly play as a government employee who will inevitably die. Then you play as his son. His son's goal is to discover why his dad was recently defenestrated. The game can end in one of several different ways, but the ending's dependent on how much the son can discover about his dad's death. The dad left clues behind inside of little biometric safes. These safes contain both strange codes and his own personal papers. Some endings also require certain NPCs to remain unarrested and/or alive. However, I didn't bother finishing the game due to its gameplay. In Beholder 2, you have a set amount of hours both at home and at work, but the number is lame since it's bizarrely constrained. There are 3 big problems constraint-wise. 1. What you can do is dragged out to meet an odd, prolonged set of time requirements. I'd much rather get more done in a game day than pretend that basic tasks, such as looking inside of a plant pot, take my character 15 minutes to do. Its elongation is exaggerated to an unfun degree. 2. Meanwhile, hours per game day is badly limited already. The player only has 11 hours per day, and these hours are split up. There are 9 hours at work and 2 hours at home, which gives you less than half a day to get anything done at work and almost no free time at home. You also have to run into and out of the building every day, which requires running across at least 4 maps from the metro to the cubicle and vice versa, which is a tedious looping system. 3. What you can do and how long you have to get it done is made even worse by yet another mechanic. That's the exactness of the time slots. You have to have precisely the right amount of time to do a specific task. For example, doing a set of 5 forms for your daily job quota takes 2 in-game hours. You need money to pay bills. You get paid when a form is correct. So it makes sense that you should be able to do fewer forms than a full set. 24 minutes per form equals 2 hours after all. A player should be able to choose to do however many number of forms since you don't have to stick to just 5. Yet you can only do 5 at a time, meaning if you have 30 minutes left, you can't do a single form with 6 minutes to spare. You can't choose to do however many number of forms. This is an all or nothing system. You either have to find tasks that will let you waste a lower amount of time if you have some spare, such as looking in carts that likely have nothing in them, or go home early. This seems like nonsense in context. For instance, with those forms, if you get something wrong and don't finish the full set, then what you did finish will still count towards your daily work quota. You can also spend an additional 2 hours to get another 5 forms to complete, so not being able to spend remaining time on doing fewer than 5 forms is both ridiculously constrained and an obvious way to try to make the billing mechanic seem worse. But if you have bills to pay, logically you would want to do a few more forms, so it just makes no sense. Plus, it's not like dystopias are known for letting workers clock out early. And on top of all of that, there's also 0 customization with your inventory items too. You might have books in your inventory. In many games, such as Project Zomboid, if you have something in your inventory, you can use it. But you can't find a corner to maybe sneak a page or 2 in. If you have spare time, it's useless. You can only read your books at home, and again, for a precise amount of reading time. The same goes for watching TV shows you bought at home. You can't watch half of a recorded show, but must watch the entire hour's worth in one go. Now add all of that onto the fact that the job and everything else isn't that engaging to play through anyway, because while the job is drudgery, it's not boring in a bureaucratic sort of way. Instead, what's boring about it is simply that it's dull stuff. It's tedious and it's vague. You're in a customer relations position, which means that NPCs whine at you, but then you have to decide which department to send them to for aid, select what they want to do at that department, and make sure there's an open office on that day. This is simple work. The only complexity comes in deciding whether or not something's a complaint or a denunciation, because that's often unclear. Is an NPC complaining about someone or something, or do they want to condemn someone or something? Being penalized for visitors' lack of clarity on what they want feels awkward at best, especially since all dialogue is scripted and you can't choose to ask any questions. And remember, this is supposed to take 24 in-game minutes, so the amount that you're seeing on screen doesn't seem to even artificially match up with the amount of time it's taking. In 24 minutes, it should be pretty clear with such basic stuff. Meanwhile, you can try to scheme against or get to know your coworkers, but the dialogue trees and options are so limited that this holds little interest too. Now add on the bleak aesthetics of the look and the sound. They both do a good job in setting up a bleak environment, but bleak simplicity puts a greater demand on the rest of the game. After all, if the setting is engaging, but purposefully grim, then the gameplay and the story ought to be the hooks that draw the player into the grim world. Without such hooks, the look and the sound are supporting nothing but a dismal experience by being dismal, instead of helping to convey a dystopia in an intriguing sort of way. So while the look is wonderfully bleak, and I did like the art style, that didn't enhance anything for me when I played the game. Meanwhile, the sound matches it in tone, but it didn't enhance anything for me either. This is because making a dull world bleak just serves you boring on a perfectly depressing platter. So, props to those who made the aesthetics, made the platter. It's great for a dystopia and served up the game well, but, well, what was served up was just blah. Time and cost. I got Beholder 2 for free during a GOG giveaway. It's normally $15, but if you disagree with me and must get it, then I suggest going for the sale price of $2.24. It's about 12 to 21 hours long, and so if you disagree with me on its quality, then getting it on sale is a deal for the amount of time it takes to complete it. Final thoughts. I think that the gameplay is terrible and barely existent. I can't help but think of another game that did similar, Papers, Please, but it did a better job with a similar concept. For example, the busy work in Papers, Please not only better conveyed the tedious and human nature of bureaucracy, but it also used various mechanics to engage the player and scale up difficulty as it was played. That was not my experience in Beholder 2. Also, in contrast with Beholder 2, Papers, Please was well streamlined. When NPCs came into the player's work area, they did so smoothly, and seeing them walk towards the booth added a sense of presence that's absent in Beholder 2. Design concepts, such as letting the player feel present in an environment, tend to be good ideas to remember. After all, workers in real life can see those approaching their booths, and they can see them for good psychological reasons as well as efficiency. Those same concepts should be able to be translated into gameplay, and in one they were, and in the other they weren't. And there's more on that front too. For example, in Papers, Please, leaving and entering the workplace was automated. It didn't require the player to slowly traverse several maps every workday. The chore and focus was the job and the administrative dystopia, not in holding down buttons and going through the same maps repeatedly. That could plausibly be done well to convey a dystopia, but in Beholder 2 I don't think it was. I'd already seen the maps. I didn't need to keep seeing them and holding down a button to run through them over and over. It didn't add anything for me, and it certainly didn't feel like gameplay. As for why I mentioned a game in contrast with Beholder 2, I think it's because it's worth noting that its dystopian bureaucratic clerk concept could have been better executed, and so that wasn't its problem. Its problems were simply surrounding how the concept was presented and meant to be engaged with. I didn't have any fun playing Beholder 2 due to its simplistic, boring, drawn-out gameplay. For that reason, after about 3 hours, I decided to stop playing it. I looked up how long it takes to beat on How Long to Beat. That kind of time investment was not something I wanted to do. I was about a fourth of the way through the game at that point and had absolutely no desire to play it for another 9 hours or more. Due to my experience, I'll be rating it on gameplay alone. I'd play almost any other game over this, as it was that boring to me. That's why rating it based on an average of all the subcategories just doesn't work for this one, as can sometimes be the case when one subcategory drastically overpowers all of the others. And for a gameplay this bad, that's a big deal to me.